Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Deathmatch Juggalo. Whoop, whoop, Brian White. And I'm drinking with Mose.
This is drinkinatmos, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with drinkinatmos, where we don't quit. Drinkinatmos, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, know it's a scream.
I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Mo's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Mo's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody. Welcome, Drinking Mo's Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. We're most places you can find audio podcasts too. Today, I am excited to have with me the Deathmatch Juggalo, Brian Wyatt. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, I'm glad to be here, man. I appreciate you asking me to come out here.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad to have you on. I've had a few Juggalos on, some of them from up by H2O Wrestling. Those guys have been very good to me. So, and I've had a few friends that have considered themselves juggalos even before the podcast. So I'm somewhat familiar, but hell, maybe I'll even ask you about some of that stuff some point in the episode. But the first thing I'd like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make the leap into the business?
I can answer that with with two words: Terry Funk. I was maybe 4 years old. My dad took me to Greenville Memorial Auditorium, and Terry Funk was there that night with the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, and I think he was wrestling Jay Youngblood, I think, that night. But there was something about Terry Funk that night that grabbed my attention, and I said, I want to do that. And I told my daddy when he tucked me in bed that night, So I said, Daddy, I want to be a wrestler. He said, well, you can be anything you want to be, but you got to be better than the one you seen tonight. And that kind of lit a fire under me, and I knew from that day on, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler. So every time we go to Blockbuster Video or something, which I'm showing my age by saying that, but every time we go to Blockbuster Video, I was in the wrestling section. It didn't matter if it was WCW, NWA, WCCW, whatever. It didn't matter what it was. I was going to get it, and I was going to watch it, and I'd watch it a million times over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
It just stuck with me.
Oh, man. I probably dating myself too, but I do remember those days going to my hometown. We didn't have Blockbuster, but we did have our own video rental places. And yes, I was always wandering to the pro wrestling section, finding.
Did you rewind your videos?
More often than not, yes.
I never did.
I've gotten a few where people didn't.
Right. I was one of them jerks.
No. But man, the ones that were absolutely my favorites, and I remember renting multiple of these at one time, and we just literally passed the newest one, the Royal Rumble. I would get multiple years. Like I would see which years they had, and if they had more than one, I'd get all of them.
Right. Right. Well, see, that's the beauty of streaming networks now with Peacock, dude. You can go back in time and relive your childhood, and that's
Oh,
nostalgia is just so amazing. That and I
oh,
love that about it.
oh, I love that too. Like I remember, speaking of that side of things, going and looking up the date that happened to be the first Raw taping I ever went to. And I remember it specifically because it was the night Owen Hart beat Rocky Maivia for the Intercontinental title.
Oh wow!
So I could literally look up the exact date, go on there, and I'll admit I rewatched the whole damn episode more
I
than
did the
once.
same with when I went to WCW Nitro. It was the night after Owen Hart had had his untimely death. But it was in Greenville, and Hulk Hogan was there that night. Roddy Piper, I think Sting came out, or Lex Luger one came out there in a big old monster truck, if I recall. And Goldberg did make his appearance, of all places, in South Carolina, right next to his home of Georgia. I didn't understand that, but he did make, I guess you could say, somewhat of an appearance. But at the end, you could see him standing at the entrance, but the fog never lifted from the fog machine, so you couldn't really tell. But like when you rewatch the video, you could see him standing there at the end. So we didn't get to directly see him, but it was still pretty cool for me. It was a big experience for me. And then I went to Raw a few years later, and we got a nice little dark match featuring John Cena, and I think it was the Shield. And who was with John Cena? I can't even remember who was with him, but yeah, that's where it took off from there as far as like going to live events. But I haven't attended a live event in, I couldn't tell you how long, dude.
Yeah, it's been a little bit for me as far as WWE goes. Like the AEW was actually here not all that long ago, really, for a Collision taping, and I ended up getting like third row right behind the announce desk.
I am not a fan of AEW. I am. I will be the first to tell you that, because I feel like they're like Ring of Honor. They're a bunch of spot monkeys. That's all it is. It's a spot fest.
There's a lot of that, yeah.
That's just my opinion. I mean, they do have some good storyline, but a lot of it is just about whose ass you kiss in that company or whatever. I mean, I'm not a big fan of AEW. I was at first. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No. I get you, because that's the thing when it comes to wrestling. Not everybody's gonna like the same stuff. There's different flavors out there. Everybody likes something different. Nothing wrong with it.
But same with me. I'm a deathmatch wrestler, and a lot of traditional wrestlers don't like me, but they don't realize that I am traditionally trained. So I mean, like, I know how to work. I just prefer the deathmatch style.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Going into some of that stuff, I know wrestling in the Carolinas. There's a lot of great stuff out there, and I've become somewhat familiar with a lot of places. I am still learning about new places all the time, even with damn near 330 episodes right now. But excuse me, I love my Dr. Pepper, but it gives me the burps like crazy.
I love it too. I love my Pepsi as well.
But one that I'm somewhat familiar with them, been able to watch, some of your stuff there with IWA Deep South. And one of the things that I like noticing when I'm watching wrestling, regardless, national TV, independence, I like seeing, how the crowds are reacting to everything. Are they having a good time? Because there's sometimes, like with national TV wrestling, people talking about the ratings and this and that. I'm like, man, I'm looking at the crowd, and if they're having fun, that's making me want to be there. So if the crowd is having fun, then that's what matters to me.
Well, that's kind of where AEW comes in. A lot of people you see these dirt sheets on the internet. They're all talking shit about AEW not having big crowd attendances. But when you hear that crowd, they're popping. And I mean, they're popping their fucking heads off. I mean, so that's one thing I won't take away from them. They still keep doing their thing no matter what the critics say. And like I say, you can say what you want about an empty arena, but me as a wrestler, I don't care if there's 2 people in that arena. I don't care if there's 5 people. I don't care if there's 500 people. I'm going to go out there and give you 1,010% and give you something to go home and talk about. And I've done that. I did that at Rocky Top, Tennessee with IWA Deep South, with, is one of the worst shows I've ever been a part of. And I've been vocal about that. It's nothing against Kevin or Tyler Becker, but that was the worst show I've ever been a part of, because by the time we got to my match, the main event, which was a Deathmatch Gauntlet, me and Blaine were in there, and there were maybe literally 4 or 5 people in the building that were fans. The rest of them were people that ran the building. So, but we still gave them people something to talk about, and they enjoyed themselves.
And that is those types of people like yourself and your opponent right there, those are the types that, besides those intense personas, because growing up, some of the intense personas, as when I was a little kid, scared the shit out of me. Now I love them. And when you have people like that, and then you have people that, like you mentioned, they will go out there, give 100%, regardless of crowd size, because, they want to leave that impression on whoever the hell is out there. And, the way I try to think of it, hell, maybe they made a good enough impression on whoever was there, and then they go, man, next time these guys come here, you gotta go. And then
word of mouth is very powerful.
That it is. That indeed it is.
But it's also very toxic as well. I'm speaking for the deathmatch. I'm speaking for the deathmatch community, the wrestling community in general. I'm not going to just single out deathmatch wrestling. I just see it more in deathmatch, but it is so toxic how the internet has turned these marks into smarts, and now they think they know everything about the business. They know everything that goes on behind the scenes. They know how to do a match better than we can, but yet their ass is still sitting in the front row buying tickets, but you ain't in that ring putting your body online like we do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So, and then, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a double-edged knife. You know what I mean? Like, it's good, but it's also bad. So it depends on where it comes from, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, no, it totally makes sense, because while I've been lucky enough to know a bunch of people in the business and got to learn a lot about the business through them, I'll fully admit I don't know everything. So there's going to be a lot that, hell, I'll still learn. The wrestling
as
business,
a fan, do you want to know?
There is a lot of the stuff that, probably I don't want to know, because for myself, I'm more of the creative side of things. I'm like constantly thinking about, new storylines, promo ideas. Like, I've probably talked the ear off of a lot of wrestlers I know about, oh man, I have the idea for this or this. And I'm sure some of them at some point have been like, oh God, shut up already.
But you would be surprised how many of us actually listen. And it may not happen the next show you see them in or the show after that. But somewhere down the line, something you say, because I've had fans do that to me. They give me, give my inbox and say, hey, why don't you try this and try that? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. It's like duly noted. It goes in one ear and out the other. But then on down the line, I'm sitting here trying to think of something, to get that all factor, and it just pop up something that, I said with a fan, and it gets over so huge.
Well, oh yeah. You know what? You just popped the light bulb in my head, because it made me think of an idea that actually happened with. There was a promotion here in town that was getting ready to do, I believe it was their first ever cage match. And they're for a title, and I got to thinking, I told a friend of mine that was going to be in the match, I'm like, so, how, escaping the cage door, sometimes somebody comes in, slams the door on a guy, he falls back, and then the other guy wins. I told him,
Right.
what if, you're wanting to continue the feud? What if this time they slam the door on you, but instead of falling back, you stumble, fall forward out of the ring onto the guy, you win. And then you
That's
have that
different.
little like, oh, what the fuck you do? Blah, blah, blah. And they actually
Well,
used it.
Do you remember? I don't know if it was WWF or WCW or what, but I think it was Paul White. He threw somebody into the cage and it slung open. Was it Stone Cold or something? He
Stone
threw him
Cold
into the
against
cage
McMahon.
Yeah. And he threw him against the cage and it slung open and he won it.
Yep.
I remember that like it was yesterday. When you said that just ding. I'm like, oh, I remember that.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the few other times that I specifically remember something like that happening. So I'm like, what if?
Wow.
And then my wife and I, we had not been dating all that long at that point. She's also friends with the guy that was going to be in the match. She sees a video that somebody posted of it. So I'm watching over her shoulder and I see that they used that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I thought I probably
like hell,
scared the crap out of her.
That's good stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, I value my fans anyways, first and foremost. And anybody that is a fan of me knows that my inbox is always open. I may not get right back to them, but I get back to my fans, each and every one of them. I will take the time to personally write you back and talk to you or whatever, answer your questions, anything like that, because you guys are what makes us.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You're the reason I'm getting out there busting my ass and putting on a show, For me personally, I'm in wrestling. I like to wrestle because no matter what's going on in my shoot life, I can go into my own little world of wrestling here and I can be anybody I want to be for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long I want to be in that ring or they want me in there. But I can escape all the bullshit and be Brian White, not Brian Cummings, and I can just have fun. And it took me years of being in this business to understand that you got to have fun too. Yes, you got to be safe and you got to take care of one another. That's the number one rule: take care of each other.
Oh yeah.
But also have fun.
Oh,
and
totally.
I finally learned that after 15 years of doing this, I'm finally learning have fun, and I'm having a blast. I'm passing what I've learned over the years down to the next generation and getting them over. And everybody's like, "Well, you're not winning matches." Really, I don't feel like I've ever lost a match, even when I did lose physically, because we both won. My opponent and I both did. We got each other over. We told a story, and whether they booed or cheered, the fans reacted. So I feel like I've won every match I've ever been in.
That is a good way to think about it. And yeah, there's so many people that I've been able to, pick the brains of, and it's just been an amazing experience, with this podcast. And, some of the people that I probably never would have been able to talk to before. Like, I think we've talked about John Wayne Murdoch before. I've had him on twice now. I never in a million years would have thought before I started this that I'd be talking to him. I've actually been able to meet in person Alex Colon and getting to.
I interviewed him once. Great guy.
Oh, yeah. Great guy. And, the first time I had him on, which I've only had him on once, I need to again, but he was getting ready to invest in new kick pads. And I just said, well, how much are you wanting? And he said, make me an offer. So I did. Now I have signed ring-worn kick pads of his.
Yeah, I got my little brother and I, we do a podcast on YouTube as well. He's wanting to get some memorabilia for his new studio and stuff. So we've been reaching out to a couple of my buddies. He's gonna get some of my stuff as well. But we've been reaching out to a couple of my buddies trying to get him stuff. I'm a collector of memorabilia myself, and
same.
Most of it's from. Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying same, like different event posters and stuff.
Right, and I keep stuff in my career. Of course,
Oh,
I've got my Spider Boudreaux Gauntlet plaque from when I won it. Of course, I got that. I've got a light cube from my first death match with my hero mentor John Rare, and then he signed and dated. I had the mask that he wore in our match,
I
signed
was
and
just
dated.
watching, not to interrupt you, I was just watching that match this morning.
Which one? The first one or the death match itself?
I'm wanting to say it might have been the first one because
Okay, the
it
street
sounded
fight.
like the commentator was at least
That was
playing
Chewy.
off like he didn't know who you were.
That was Chewy Martinez, my boy. I love him so much. He listen. In his defense, he was feeling pretty good by that point when he got on commentary.
You know what? It definitely sounded like he probably was.
Well, and the irony of that is that I wound up working him in round 2 of Carnage Cup 13, and he was feeling pretty good then. And if anybody's watched that match, at the beginning when he gets the mic, man, he's tripping balls about this Hulk little glove or whatever. It's a Hulk glove with 16 penny nails hanging out of it. And he's like, who the fuck made this shit? And he started mumbling real loud, and they put a beer and opened it up, put it inside the thing for him. He's drinking a beer while he's beating the shit out of me during the match, you know. So, Chewy is one of a kind. He taught me a lesson in that match, and the next day, it didn't hit me till that night when I was in the motel, you know, in the shower, just trying to get the glass and stuff out of me and the hot sauce that he poured on me. Get all that out. Yeah, that now listen, York Terry, who was also one of the color commentators for IWA Deep South, that year he made a lot of the fuckery we had at Carnage Cup 13. Well, one of them happened to be a cauldron. In that cauldron, I don't know why he did this, but in that cauldron, he decided he's going to put rubbing alcohol, lemon juice, salt, and ghost pepper hot sauce in it.
Oh, God.
So after I've been beat up with Hughes from round 1, I did the solid death match with John Ray and Little Sicko on round 1. So my body was already beaten, battered as it was. Well, I get in there with Chewy. I've already gotten some more cuts on me from the tubes and some of the fuckery he was beating me with. And he pours this all over me. And, dude, if you listen to the video on the pay-per-view or if anybody's seen it, when I scream, that's my soul leaving my body, dude. And when he pins me, you could tell it was unscripted because I didn't kick out. I didn't kick out at all.
Oh, God. I just have this image in my head of, like, the most blood-curdling scream you could ever think of.
Oh, my wife was she was irate, you know what I mean? Like, she was mad at York for months after that. But I mean, I gave York a hug that night and told him, you know, you gave me something to talk about, which I hate it, but I love it. But at the same time, like, that's the only thing that people really remember me from Carnage Cup 13, which I wish they could remember the fact that I faced my hero and mentor and he retired after that match. I mean, like, and I pinned him. So, I mean, I was already emotional as it was, you know, to pin your mentor and your hero and to see him taking them boots off and putting them in the ring, you know, the emotions, you got to stay in character because I'm trying to keep from fighting tears back. So I did my thing with fans celebrating. I got my ass up the hill. I got there in the back, and then I broke down because, like, it was just emotional. And plus, as soon as he got done, he had to get out of there and go to the hospital because he stabbed himself with a box cutter. It was if you watch the match, man, it's on my YouTube channel.
I need to go do that.
Yeah, it's on Stream XPW as well. But it was wild, man. It was a wild match, a wild event altogether. But I feel like the past 2 years, IWA Deep South has delivered with that Carnage Cup.
I've heard lots of great things, and some of the footage I've been able to see, you know, for the deathmatch fan in me, yeah, right up my damn alley. Now, speaking of death matches, I have to go into a little bit of this because with a name like the Deathmatch Juggalo, man, the Juggalos, they're a wild bunch. I mean, you hear the stories about the Gathering. I've been told a few stories about the Gathering, and they're pretty damn nuts. But the one thing that always seems to come up is a very accepting community. Like once they consider you a part of them, you're like fucking family.
Yeah, when you're family for life. Yeah, whoop, whoop. I mean, no matter what. No matter what. I love the community. Now, the irony of it is that I've never been to a gathering. I've never got to go to one. I'd love to. I've never got to work a JCW show. I do have some autographed FUBUs from Violet J and Shaggy that I bought from a crooked motherfucker, but I know they're legit. I bought them from Corporal Robinson. If you're watching this, Corporal, you're still a piece of shit in my eyes if you're watching this. But yeah, that's a shoot. But anyways, I would love the opportunity to go to a gathering and actually do a show with them, but we'll just have to see what the future holds with that.
Hey, that would be something, because like I said, I've been told a lot of the stories from other people that have been there, and let's just say some of them are quite nuts.
If it's something you can't believe, you better believe
it. Yeah, it's definitely goes along those lines for sure. Now, I have to ask, I mean, you kind of talked about, how much it means to you, but like, what does it mean to you being, the Deathmatch Juggalo, representing, the Juggalo community? Because while they're a wacky bunch, they're definitely a proud bunch.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not the only Deathmatch Juggalo. There's another one named XJ Chaos who works for Primos Wrestling out there who does Slay to the Deathmatch. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I've heard of them
in Colorado. Okay, there's a guy named XJ Chaos. He calls himself the Deathmatch Juggalo too, and I've been trying to get him to find a place. Let's have a match and let's see who's the better one. But outside of that, I do represent a worldwide phenomenon, I guess you could say. Juggalos are still active and they're still out there, and there's good ones and the bad ones, just like any group of people that you'll meet anywhere in life.
Oh, yeah.
But to carry that weight on my show, I carry it with pride, man. I mean, I'm
bet.
out there. I'm having a good time like the Juggalo. I'm loving every minute of it. Just having a good time. That's what I love about being a Juggalo. I can be myself, and there's nobody that's going to judge me.
Yeah.
So to have that weight on me, I take it with pride, and I will gladly carry it as long as I have to.
I bet. I know I would too. Now, okay, I say this not wanting to get a lot of hate from the Juggalos, but I know with a name of a show like I have, Drinkinatmos, there's a special drink that Juggalos tend to love that I have yet to have any flavor of it.
Oh man, you got to get a Faygo, dude. Dude, you can go to the dollar store and get those. You know what I mean?
I'm sure if I looked around enough, I probably could. But yes, I have yet to have any flavor of Faygo.
Oh my God, bro, you're missing out. The best one is the cotton candy, just for the record.
I have heard that. I believe it was Alex Stretch out of H2O had told me about that one.
Yes, you have got to try that. Oh my God, dude, you have been deprived. I'm about to get your address and send you one if you don't find one, dude, because you're missing out on and
by all means,
cost a lot here. That's the best part.
By all means, I might need to send you my damn address once we're done here,
bro. I will. I mean, you're missing out because we have them all over here. But to be such a Bible Belt down here in South Carolina, there's a lot more stuff that they don't really know that we know. You know that like you're still, you're not Xing us out. I guess you could say phasing us out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've been to a lot of the states. I think I've only ever flown through maybe North Carolina. That, like, you go from North Dakota down south to Texas and go west. I've been to every single one of those states. I'm working my way east.
Well, I'm working my way up the Eastern Seaboard. got some shows I'm working on. I'm hoping to actually be in Jersey and Philly sometime this year. Not going to spoil that yet until I know for sure. But
Gotcha.
you know, I'm trying to get out there. It's been 15 years, and I'm trying to get out there a little bit more and enjoy it while I can, because I've got family. I've got 3 boys and a beautiful wife, and yes, I love wrestling, but I love them more, and you know, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do this forever. My bump card is running low. I mean, I put some beatings on my body over the years, but I wouldn't change it for the world. But I do want to be able to still throw ball with my boys, because I got ball player boys. They're hella baseball players. I mean, the best. You know, maybe I'm biased, but they're the best I've ever seen.
Hey.
But I want to be able to still get out there with them and do that. I want to still be able to, you know, take them hunting and stuff, take them fishing with comfort, you know. So
Yeah.
I try to be careful, but like this year I'm going pretty hard, and it may be the last year, folks. So I'm not saying anything concrete yet, but it may be the last year. We just have to see how things go.
Oh yeah. I mean, when it comes to, you know, I have to bring up the guy again, another wrestling juggalo, Alex Stretch, Deathmatch Juggalo with a Juggalo Madman and Alex Stretch, either getting you guys teaming together or up against each other. I'm getting that idea in my head. Either one of those, my opinion, I'd be glued.
Well, people don't realize there's more juggalos in wrestling than you think. And I can give you the ones that I do know for sure that I've worked with. Necro, Bryant Woods, Blaine Evans, John Rare, Lil Sicko, Tarzan, Sick Boy. I can't really tell if he is or he isn't, because you know it's just hard to tell with him. There's a good many of them out there. People just don't realize that you know, more of the big names that they grown to love are actually juggalos, and that's the ones that don't know that are the ones that hate us the most. But they hate us for no reason. They think we're just a bunch of retarded, disorganized people or whatever, nasty people, and that could be further from the truth.
No, yeah. Now, much like you, family's important to you, very important to me. You know, mentioned that hell, I think it was had to have been within a couple of days of, you know, Christmas Eve when my wife and I had our son. And, you know, it got me thinking, you know, yeah, there's places out there that I would like to go to. I'm trying to get out there more on, you know, commentary side too, but that's proving to be a little more work, but hey, it'll be worth it. But I'm going along the lines of a good friend of mine, Nick Manawa, who has said that, you know, he loves wrestling, he loves, you know, doing commentary, but family comes first. So if he's going to be taking time away from family, make it worth it. That's where I'm at too, because, you know, my family, I got a little boy. I want to spend as much time with him as I can, but
Right.
then I want to still have, you know, I want to still get out there and do stuff that, you know, I can, you know, look back on and share stories with him when he gets old enough to, you know, understand them, and, you know, show him some matches and be like, Daddy actually talked to that guy. Or, hey, you see that guy right there? Maybe being on commentary, you're like, hey, Daddy was right there. You know, stuff like that.
Right.
You know, little memories like that.
Yes, absolutely, and that's why, you know, I enjoy my wife being with me at shows, because a lot of my immediate family, they're not crazy about me being a wrestler, but it's one of the things, like, they know that there's nothing they can say or do is going to deter me from it. But my wife is my biggest supporter, and she's my biggest fan. There's nobody in this world a bigger fan than her. But sharing memories with her, like when I won that gauntlet, the Spider Bojo gauntlet, the emotions after that match that they caught on camera, that was real. Then that was just tears of 13, 14 years of busting your ass. You finally made it to the big leagues. In my opinion, it's the big leagues for me, because I personally never want to go to WWE or nothing like that. Yes, the money's good and all that, but I don't want that. I like creative control of my own gimmick, and I like to be able to go where I want to go, work where I want to work, and all that. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoy being an independent performer more than I would being one of them guys. But to share these memories with my wife, man, and my family, and now my family's catching on. They realize that, you know, he put in a lot of years into this, and he's put a lot of hard work, and they're starting to come around and seeing, you know, a few shows here and there. And none of them, I've only had one of them come see a death match. The rest of them, they came to maybe 1, 2 traditional matches, but they're catching on as we get older. So they see that it's something that I'm passionate about.
Oh yeah, I've had the same thing with the podcast with my family. Like, I still get a laugh out of this particular story before we get into my 2 categories here. There was one time I was at the zoo here in Omaha with my wife, my parents, and, you know, I want to say 1 or 2 of my siblings and their kids. And we're at one end of the zoo, and somebody recognized me, and like, hey, and then they talked about, you know, oh, I love the podcast, and blah, blah. I'm like, oh, hey, cool. And then, you know, get back, and my wife's like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, oh, they recognized me from the podcast.
It's incredible, though, ain't it? It's overwhelming, because you're like, you remember that or whatever, you know. Like, I have people that can remember stuff that happened in like my 5th year of wrestling, and I'm like, you remember that, you know? And it's so flattering, and it's humbling, because it's just like, yeah, that's why I do it, because just that one person coming up to you can change your whole outlook on what you're doing with it. You know what I mean? Whether it be positive or negative. I'm sure for you, and inside you were screaming like a little girl on the inside, but on the outside you're just trying to keep it cool.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with marking out for yourself. I'm my own biggest fan, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Oh yeah. And then seeing the look on my parents' face when my wife told them, because they were looking around too, like, what the heck? But then my wife told them, and seeing the smile on their faces was like a sense of validation, because I know they've had times, you know, oh, the silly podcast where they're like, my wife and I, you know, trying to have kids, are like, oh, you know, when the kid comes and blah, blah, blah. I don't hear that anymore.
Well, I mean, you're pretty freaking successful, my guy. I just want to say that. Congrats. I mean, I've watched you over the years. Your evolution has been incredible to watch, and it's just getting better and better every time. So keep doing what you're doing. That shit looks good on you, dude.
that means a lot, because it's definitely been, you know, an evolving process from when, conveniently enough, when I started, we were having to live at my mother-in-law's house because we had water damage here that went from a overflowing toilet and went all the way down to the basement.
Ain't that great?
And then now I'm sitting, I mean, you said, you know, you have video right now, but you've seen, you know, the background that I have. It's evolved, and now, you know, I got you know, autographed collectibles, and that friend of mine that co-hosts My 2 Cents with me had a special Drinkinatmos title belt made for me, and it's been something great, and to hear people seeing that, and, you know, the good work that they feel that I'm doing, man, it makes me feel pretty damn good.
It's validating, isn't it?
Definitely is. Like,
well, you deserve it. You know, like I say, I mean, I tell anybody, you have to seize the moment for yourself. No one's going to do it for you. And you went out there and you reached for that brass ring, and you got it. You know what I mean? Like, you went for it, and you know, that's not to say, like with my career in wrestling, it's not to say that I didn't have odds stacked against me a couple times here and there, or whatever, because that's going to happen.
Oh,
But,
yeah, I've definitely had that.
If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean?
I've had so many times where, thankfully it's been more reaching out and then not hearing back from somebody. That's happened more times than I can count, especially at the beginning. But now, hearing like what you just said, I'll never forget that. But then also hearing from John Wayne Murdoch saying that, he doesn't do too many podcasts anymore, but he'll do mine. I'm like, oh my God. From a guy on my Deathmatch Mount Rushmore to tell me that, man.
And you know what? A lot of people, I'm not going to get into toxic shit out here, but for people not like John Wayne Murdoch, whether you hate him or like him, he's a Hall of Famer. He put in work. Whether people, like I said, you can hate on him all you want, hate what he did or whatever. Good, that means he did something right because you ain't gonna forget him.
Mm-hmm.
But John Wayne Murdoch is a Hall of Famer. And a lot of people should be grateful for what he did for the business, for our genre. And I'm not saying others didn't contribute to that, but I'm just saying. John Wayne Murdoch's name was mentioned a lot when he was American Deathmatch champion. You know what I mean? You heard that name a lot.
Oh yeah.
And he was putting on clinics and No Holds Barred, putting on clinics out there, dude.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoy his work. I mean, me personally, without sounding like a mark, I'm a fan of him as well. I mean, he does amazing matches that you can't forget him.
Oh yeah. Now, I got two categories here to kind of round stuff off. First is a bit of a name game where I name off some people. You give me some quick thoughts on them. Each of these people, I try to theme it to the guest as much as possible. Each of these guests, as far as I'm aware, and I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong, each of these people definitely juggalos, definitely have been in JCW at some point or another, but theming them towards that way. And I think the first one, I think there's no better person to lead off a category like this, talking about juggalos and wrestling, and juggalos, period, Violent J.
Hall of Famer.
No, yeah.
I don't know why ICP has not been put in WWE Hall of Fame. I don't know.
Oh,
yeah. I'm one of the people that, I've seen a petition going around for them.
I've seen it.
They have a passion for this business that people just seem to overlook or something, which now I see Violent J and them on a lot more shows for like NWA, JCW, GCW. You're seeing them come, they're making that second win, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
They've given so much to our business, man. And like Bloody Mania, they've had names like Vader, Steiner, all them guys come up there, and I don't know. I mean, I respect anyone that has a passion like that, and they don't let no one deter that and take that from them. So I have tremendous respect, of course, for him. He's like the godfather of this. So of course.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to remember the promotion, and I feel bad because they send me a lot of their footage and, let me know about different posts about stuff. But they posted about Violent J was going to be at one of their upcoming shows, and I'm like, oh man, to get him on the damn podcast, that would be pretty fucking sweet.
Oh, dude, I would mark out, and if it was a live feed where I could comment, I'd be the only one just constantly beating everybody to the punch. I would just love to be the type to sit there and just pick his brain.
So
just shut up and just sit under that tree of knowledge, because you know what? He has more knowledge about wrestling than people think, and he's been around a lot of big names. Ricky Morton and Kerry Morton love Violent J. They love him.
Oh yeah, that is the thing that a lot of people underestimate about him. Is like you hear him talk about wrestling, and man, the knowledge that guy has is just something else.
Oh yeah, and like I say, I mean, and Ricky and them, they're very close with him. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Kerry Morton is doing a lot of his booking for JCW actually, because they're doing it seems like they're doing a lot of crossing with JCW and the NWA. Billy Corgan is keeping NWA alive, by the way. Anyone that doesn't believe that, you can kiss my ass. If it weren't for him, I don't think we'd be talking about them today still.
Oh yeah. No, I can agree. They've had some rocky moments, but man, there's been promotions out there that have had rocky moments that, hey, they're not around anymore.
Right.
NWA is still around and kicking, so you can't knock it.
And like I say, if the NWA will welcome him with open arms, everyone else should too.
Oh, most definitely. Now, another guy that I specifically remember a program with this guy with ICP back in WCW, but we'll just go ahead and talk about Vampiro.
Someone I can relate to. And on that level, when I say that is I deal with anxiety myself.
Same.
Believe it or not. I know people like, you perform in front of people all the time and all that. Yeah, that's one thing. But like I say, I'm not Brian Cummings then. I'm Brian White. And Brian White is fearless and will do whatever he's got to do. But Brian Cummings has severe anxiety. I mean, I deal with that, and it's a real thing. Vampiro, he deals with that as well. He paid a post, I want to say 3-4 years ago, and I watched it, and the man was in tears just talking about how he was feeling at that moment and everything, and I could totally relate to him. And I sent him a message, and I was like, I know you don't know me, I know you don't know anything about me, and you probably won't read this. I said, but I'm a worker in this business, and I go through what you go through on a daily basis. I'm here if you ever want to talk. Well, 3 months later, he reaches out and just says, "Thank you for the kind words, my friend. I'll never forget you, Brian."
That is
it's
awesome.
just something that simple. Yes, but I can relate to him on so many levels. He's another one that should be in the Hall of Fame, I believe. I mean,
totally.
He's given so much to the business. I mean, look, he's still working down there in I believe he's still in Mexico working right now.
I believe, yeah, I'm
or MLW. Is it MLW?
I'm one to say, I'm forgetting what promotion in Mexico. It was either AAA or CMLL. It was one of the two, but I know he has a hand down there.
Right, and then you remember Lucha Underground. He had a big hand in that.
Oh, God. I've loved Lucha Underground. I have been lucky enough to have a handful of people that have gone through there, like, trying to think, former Lucha Underground champion Marty the Moth had him on.
Yes.
Let's see.
I don't know. I wish you could have got Penta, dude. Penta is.
God, that would have been epic. That would have been epic.
He is so over right now.
Oh,
he is so over right now.
Dude, when I saw him starting out the Rumble with Rey Mysterio, holy shit.
Dude, and you know what? That was a proud moment, I'm sure, for all Latinos around the world. I'm sure that was a proud moment. You know what I mean? So good for them. For sure. I mean, they did something awesome there, and it's something special. And can you imagine how Pentagon feels to be facing one of his idols in the ring
on that stage?
On that stage. That's one of the big ones. You know, Royal Rumble. It's like it is your WrestleMania, I guess you could say, for that moment.
Oh yeah.
Which Royal Rumble this year, by the way, I know I'm going to get a little sidetracked, but Royal Rumble this year was freaking awesome, except for the women's match. Sorry, I did not get involved in that one. I just couldn't. It was too predictable.
It was, but I will say that was probably one of the better ones they've had, minus the predictable elements that were in there.
Now, to see Joe Hendry there, dude.
Oh,
dude, when he came up there.
Oh,
I marked the hell out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm getting off subject here, man.
Oh yeah. But yes, no, I goosebumps when that came out. But back to Lucha Underground before we move on to the next person. The one, probably the most memorable thing for me here was with Famous B. I had him on, and during Lucha Underground, you remember some of those vignettes where he was like, the numbers might not be the same, but it was like 423 get fame. It was like one of those cheesy car salesman commercial like things.
But it worked.
Oh man. And I got to thinking, I didn't ask him, but I was thinking in my head, man, if he does that during his introduction, that would be sweet. And then he did it.
Oh yes.
And
that's just icing on the cake.
oh man. Oh man, I was jumping like, oh my god, he did it.
And isn't it crazy how, see, that's what I'm talking about as a worker, to hear a fan say that. Just my old catchphrase, boo if you love it, or something like that. I hear people say that or whatever. Or just, and when I hear the fans whoop whoop back to me, I feed off of that. But I love that feeling because I've made a connection with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's a connection that it's hard to describe with words, but it's a connection that you never want to lose.
Oh yeah. Now, on to final two people here from the name game. This man, other than Famous B, probably gave me one of my most memorable intro recordings that I have had. Madman Pondo.
Well, where do you start? He's one of the forefathers of deathmatch wrestling. I mean,
I tried not to interrupt you. I tried to tell him that and tell him about him being a legend. He tried, being humble, downplaying it. But I'm like, dude, when people talk about, like, I mentioned Mount Rushmore as a deathmatch wrestling. I told him when people think of that, more often than not, you're on there.
Right. And you want me to tell you a name that's on there that people, whether they want to, they can't deny that they tried. There's one name that you Ian Rotten.
Yeah.
You can hate him all you want. You can hate him, and yes, I agree. He is a shitty fucking person. He is a shitty person from start to finish, and the way he done fans and over the years, yes, he's shitty for that. But before all that happened and came to the forefront, he brought deathmatch wrestling and put it on the fucking scene with IWA Mid South. I
can agree with you there. That
nobody can disagree with that. He gave us that, and he gave us some of the biggest names: Scotty Vortex, Drake Younger. I mean, he gave us big fucking names out of there and memorable moments. Some of the craziest death matches you'll ever see until Kevin Brennan and IWA Deep South came along.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not being biased just because I was on their roster, but IWA Deep South is by far the most violent promotion that I have ever been a part of. But it's the biggest family, dude. And any of the guys who's watching this, if you're watching this, I love you guys to death still. Kevin, Tyler, thank you for the opportunities. I won't let you, it won't be in vain. You guys will be hearing my name more often. So if you're watching this, thank you all. I love you guys and I miss you.
I hope they end up watching this because, yes, the footage that I've seen, yes, I can agree with you there. But I remember with Madman Pondo when he did his intro, man, he went nuts in a good way. And I'm like sitting back listening as he's doing it. I'm like in my head, like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome.
Right. That was like years ago, man. I was just a young performer in the business, but I was, a do boy too. So I was carrying bags and doing errands for people. Well, I was in Rome, Georgia, and Jake Snake was there. And this was before the door was open. They were, we were setting up gimmick tables and stuff for him and all that. Well, one guy was going around with he was recording and just talking to random legends, and he came up to me and he came up to Jake and he said, cut me a promo right now. And Jake had a way with them promos that just, you felt the words. You felt what he was saying. And that's a talent that just, I don't know, man. I remember stuff like that. So, but Madman Pondo, what can you say? Oh, by the way, congratulations on your engagement if you're watching this, Madman.
Definitely.
He's a legend. He's a legend here. He's a legend in Japan.
Oh yeah.
And and John Rare is the same way as far as like when you said he says I'm no legend. Well, John Rare, I tell him all the time. In my eyes, I don't know what people know about Southern Deathmatch wrestling, but John Rare, Terry Houston, Spider Boudreaux, them names are the top Southern, and Colt 45. Them are your Southern Deathmatch representatives. You know what I mean? Like they are the epitome of it, and that's what drove me to want to become one here in the South, because deathmatch wrestling is not very common here, not at all.
Gotcha.
So, it was an honor to even work my hero, but like I say, he's very humble about it. He's like, I'm nobody, and you did all the work. No, it took a team effort. So, John, you might as well face it. You're a legend. If you watch this, you're a legend. I fucking love you, man.
Definitely. Now we've talked a little bit about this last guy, but I had to put him in here because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he's been, JCW at different points. I could have sworn I saw him on some cards. But the Duke of Hardcore himself, John Wayne Murdoch.
We've touched on that, man.
Yeah.
Whether you hate him or like him, he's a Hall of Famer, and he's done a tremendous amount for our genre of wrestling.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
And like I say, I don't get into the bullshit that I hear on the dirt sheet, the 2 piece and the biscuit. Everybody, if you know, but I don't get involved with that. I don't get involved with the woke thing and all that stuff. I don't try to bring my political beliefs into wrestling because there's no place for it, really.
Same. I'm like,
I mean, I have my views, but I'm not gonna do that because
exactly.
Not everybody's gonna agree with me. Not everybody's gonna like what I gotta say, and that's how you lose fans. That's how you get hatred and the wrong ideas about you are out there. Then
Oh yeah, no, so, most definitely.
When it comes to John Wayne Murdoch, man, you could hate him or like him. He's done so much. To say that I wouldn't work him, I'd be telling you a lie. I would work him in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Just to say I had the honor of being in the ring with him. But John Wayne Murdoch is a great asset to this business. He's one of the great assets. I'm gonna say that because there's so many of them I could name off this valuable asset. But he's definitely in my top 5 guys as far as like has given so much to our business and has done so much for it.
Oh, for sure. All right, now on to some random questions. Some wrestling related, some not. Some have probably nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far.
Okay.
So, first one, being a deathmatch juggalo, I'm sure there's quite a few times and moments you can choose here, but craziest in-match moment for you?
Probably, besides Chewy pouring that on me at Carnage Cup, I would have to say when John Rare burned my balls in the Ring of Fire deathmatch.
Yeah, that would wow. Wow.
Yeah. And true story, I set him on fire before that, and he was on fire laughing, and I was trying to put him out as I was trying to pin him, and he was laughing about it. I said, "You sadistic fuck, what is wrong with you?" No, I take that back. I have one crazier than that. It's not while I was wrestling, but it happened after I wrestled.
Okay.
Last year at IWA Southern Outlaws, after the match with, I think it was the controversial one, Kato and Tommy Trainwreck, the SWAT team showed up. They showed up live on pay-per-view. They showed up AR-15s, pointing at people, telling people to get on the ground. They told everybody to get on the ground. When they said that, my heavyweight champion, the IWA Deep South heavyweight champion, Bryant Woods, he was the only one to stand up when they said sit down. And they didn't say shit to him when his big ass stood up. You know what I mean? So I remember that because they got a call of reports. It was right after Hardcore Hillbilly and the Bodies match. The neighbors seen the match happening. Well, they called them all saying that so I was getting blown up with fireworks and stabbed with glass up there. So they sent the SWAT team out there and everything, man. It was wild. It was live.
Jeez, wow.
You can't make this up. It happened on pay-per-view, man. And
yeah, wow.
Oh yeah, I'll have to share that video with you later. I posted it earlier, I think last week, but
Okay,
that's definitely the one I will not forget.
Wow, and like
yes, that really happened.
that probably tops it. Wow, like I've
Yeah,
heard some crazy ones, but nothing like a SWAT
yeah,
team getting called. Like I've been like stories from the original ECW and a match with Lloyd Anoa'i and New Jack and getting told to be careful with the arena, and then they both proceed to go through a wall and Paul Heyman screaming at them after the match, or a person going down to Puerto Rico and wearing a shirt that said both in English and in Spanish, "Justice for Brody."
yes,
And
yes.
literally having the promoter tell him that somebody from the crowd said that if you bring that guy back, that guy is not making it home.
Well, I mean that right there, that was my moment, right? And like I say, you got to remember, we got all the other guys in previous matches before this one. We're all sitting there with blood dripping off of us and everything. We're pulling glass and shit out of each other.
That is
And
insane. Wow.
Tell me, dude, yes. I promise you, when this interview's over, I'm going to send that to you so you can share it with your fans. It's intense. Like, I lost it. And Larry Legend was that's the quietest I've ever heard him ever. He was just dead ass quiet. Didn't say a fucking word.
Yeah. Holy shit. Well,
yeah.
On to another question here. Oh boy, got a little. So,
I got stories, my friend.
Oh, I bet you do. So, next question I have here that I like to ask a lot of the people that have even dabbled in deathmatch wrestling. Weapon you would like to avoid being used on you in a match if you had the choice?
Anything besides skewers that sticks you, like needles or something like that. I don't like that. I hate needles and I hate fire. That's the two things in this world that I hate more than anything in this world.
I've been to, heck, my first ever death match that I got to watch in person was actually Jake Christ versus Joel Bateman. And it ended with bridging 2 panes of glass onto some folding chairs and lighting the glass on fire.
Well, then it depends on what you're using to make that flame.
Yeah. And then what was it? Oh, the other one was actually relatively recently. All 3 members of the Second Gear crew going up against each other at the Revolver show in the Cage of Horrors, and fire was used twice in that match. And before that match happened, I got to actually tell the joke in person to each of them and got them all laughing with it, that I told them that their matches might as well be sponsored by Home Depot. They all loved it.
Hey, my buddy Andy Lawler works for them, by the way. Andy, if you're watching this, man, whoop whoop. But yeah, like the reason, I guess another reason that really sealed the deal was when I watched one of my good friends, Masada, Njpw, just get engulfed in it.
Oh, so yeah.
That fire can. Besides John Rare burning me in our match in the balls, I mean, I would have to say that really sealed the deal for me right then, because I've never seen dude, and he finished the match like a G, you know what I mean? Like he finished it.
Masada's one of those guys that, yeah, he can go. He can definitely go.
And he's so much bigger in person, dude. Like the videos and everything, it does not serve no justice. If you see this man in person, he is so intimidating, as big as he is.
Yeah. I've been around a handful of people that, yeah, I can definitely say that about. And, hell, maybe one day I'll end up meeting that guy. He's definitely somebody that I would definitely love to. But, all right, next question.
Me and you talk after this interview. We might have to get him on the show for you, buddy.
That would be sweet. I would love that.
I can make it happen, and we will make it happen. We'll talk about that after the show.
Sweet. All right. Now, okay. I've had this talk with a bunch of people. So whenever, lottery jackpots get like super huge, you'll always hear somebody say, "Oh, you'll never be able to spend that much money." I always laugh at them and say, hey, "Watch me." Like it's like it brings up a term that I have called "fuck it money." Like you have something in your head that you never thought you'd ever be able to afford. All of a sudden, you got the money for it, so you're like, "Fuck it." What is one thing that you would get if you ever happened on "fuck it" money?
Oh, you can tell I've been poor all my life because there's so many things I could pick.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to say that I own my home, my house and land and everything. I own that. I own my vehicles. Man, it sounds like a cheeseball thing to say, but I'm rich enough as is. What I got, I'm healthy. I'm 10 toes down, not 10 toes up. I got a beautiful wife. My children are healthy and thriving. God, I would just love to help people that need help. And I know a lot of people. I have a lot of friends in this world that I would love to help. Sometimes that I can't possibly do it. But if I had some fucking money, it would go to good use like that. I would definitely give back.
That is awesome. That is awesome when yeah, there might be something that you get for yourself, but when you're concentrating on giving back to people that have been there for you, that's something special.
Yes, because you know what, there was many a times that I was down in this world and I didn't have nobody, but I had, I've had some friends along the way that kept me going, and I it's not about doing a favor to pay them back or whatever, because they never asked for that, but I would love to repay a lot of people back. I would, because
Definitely.
I've been blessed over the years. I've been very, very, very blessed.
That is awesome. Now, with the name of the show like I have to have this question in here. Favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise? Because I have had many people on that for one reason or another don't drink. And I always tell them just because it says drinkinatmos doesn't mean that it has to be alcoholic.
Well, I'll give you what I got. For soft drinks, I'm a Pepsi man all day, or Dr. Pepper. Far as liquor goes, I like any type of scotch. I love scotch. It's a gentleman's drink. It's not meant to be chugged. It's meant to be sipped and enjoyed. I learned that from my daddy years ago. My favorite beer would have to be Guinness. I love Guinness.
It's a good one.
It is a very good one. I love it. I love the flavor, the texture, everything. And it's got that nice little oak taste that there at the end. Like, you can just taste the barrel of it right there at the end. It's so good. Just so full of body and volume. It's the perfect balance for me, because like they creep up on you so quickly, like you never see it coming.
Yeah.
But it's a good smooth drink, and I personally, that's my favorite.
That
and like I say, any type of scotch.
All good choices. I know beer, Guinness. I'm more of a beer guy. Guinness is a good choice. One of my personal favorites that I'm sad they don't carry it any closer than like 2 hours away from me, but Stone Cold's Broken Skull American Lager.
We don't have that here.
We don't have it here in
Omaha.
If
you want a good cheap drunk, man, you can do like I did at Carnage Cup and drink PBRs like I did with Necro Butcher, except Necro drank them without being on ice. Like, I've never seen anyone that could drink a PBR, a Pabst Blue Ribbon, piss hot. Like, he drank a whole 12-pack sitting there watching.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. PBR ice cold, I can do.
That's the only way I'll have a PBR, is if it's ice cold.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling?
It's the age-old thing that you hear all the time: close your mouth and open your ears. But if I could give some really good advice, be sure this is what you want, because there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with it. You're gonna miss birthdays. You're gonna miss family get-togethers. You're gonna miss. You're gonna lose hours to do your shoot job the following day after you get back from being in town or something. It puts stresses on relationships sometimes. You're gonna sacrifice a lot, and you have to remember that this business doesn't owe you shit. You owe this business everything if you're gonna be a part of it, and I'm living proof of that.
Oh yeah. No, I've
lost a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I've given similar advice when people have talked to me about, enlisting in the military. I'm like, before you sign that paper, make sure this is indeed what you want, because you will have moments where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
My niece just recently graduated from basic training from the Army, and before she joined, she at first was hesitant because she's a softy, bless her heart, but she was scared that when they get in her face that she would either cry or laugh or something like that. But she went up there and she did the damn thing, and she came back. I'm the proudest Army uncle in the world. She's an AIT now, but yeah, that's exactly right. You have to make sure this is what you want. Like I say, there's gonna be days you can't get out of the bed. You're hurting so bad from training or from the show before, or like for me in my genre doing deathmatch. Sometimes I can't even lay on my back in my own bed. I have to lay on my stomach all night because I don't want to get blood all over the sheets or something.
Yeah.
But it's a commitment, and if you're not willing to do that, then I don't know what to tell you on that. But just remember, and another thing to remember. Everybody ain't your fucking friend in this business. They ain't your fucking, I have a lot of friends, but I have more acquaintances than anything in this business.
Yeah.
So just remember, not everybody's out for your best interest. Not everybody is.
Yeah, I've definitely learned that the hard way. But yeah, I won't go into that. But that is about all I have. But before we go, wow. Anyways, before we go, where can people find you social media-wise so if they don't already have their eyes on the Deathmatch Juggalo, they can go ahead and get them there?
If you go to pretty much any social thing except for Twitter, because I don't do Twitter, and put hashtag boo if you love it, you'll find something of me, and it'll pop up with me because that's my little catchphrase. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Cameo, TikTok. Like I say, just look up the Deathmatch Juggalo Brian White. You'll find me. I'm not hard to find. I do have a show coming up soon, by the way. Don't have a date yet. We're just waiting on the weather, but I will be at Blood and Honey with Nathan Mowry down there in Atlanta. I'm not going to announce the match. Not going to announce the match I have, but it's going to be a big one. So you guys stay tuned for that. And also, I do have a podcast. I don't want to share it on yours. That'd be kind of rude, but
by all means, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, me and my little brother, his name's Chris Kyle, a.k.a. Skinny Moose. We do a show called the Deathmatch Avengers. We do interviews with guys. We've had Necro Butcher. We've had Masada, Mr. Danger, Hondo, Mickey Knuckles. The list goes on and on and on. You'll catch me on there. We do interviews regularly on there. So make sure you check that out on YouTube. It's called the Deathmatch Avengers. YouTube.com/ We Love Deathmatches, I think it is, or something. I'm not sure. Okay. But you can catch me there. And like I say, and my inbox is always open to anybody who's listening to this. I'm always going to respond. It might take me a little bit, but I will respond to you.
All right. We'll get all of that information for all those places in the description. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It's been a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime at all.
It was an honor, man. I like I say, I remember years ago watching you when you started. I seen you in the MDK C group when I was a part of it, and I have followed you since then. And like I say, continue your blessings. Congratulations on your baby boy, but continue to evolve and just keep doing your thing, man. You have a big lifelong fan with me, dude.
Thank you. That means a lot. All right, now my issue with this fucking button again.